The transmission cooler return line on the 2008 Ford Escape is located on the driver's side near the front tire. Here is a view of the leak caused by corrosion, with the protective cover already removed. Notice the streams of transmission fluid while the system is pressurized. From the engine compartment, here's a top-down view of the transmission cooler return line and its flange nut that will need to be loosened to remove. And here's a view of the slip fitting on the line that connects to the return hose. Take the time to inspect the transmission cooler pressure line here. This is all rubber except where it mounts to the transmission, and that metal part is called the transmission cooler pressure line tube. I will give the part number in the description. This one doesn't need to be replaced. Here is the OEM replacement transmission cooler return line with a flange connection on one end and a slip fitting on the other. This part is approximately $30 at the time of this video, and here is the part number if you need to order it online. Let's start the repair by chocking the rear wheels and getting the front end up on jacks. Next, remove the front driver's side tire from the vehicle. Here is the front cover we need to remove to gain access to our leak. The cover is secured by 6 10mm bolts. These are located here, 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 and here. There is also a plastic rivet screw that is located here. The first 10mm bolt we are going to remove is located near the oil drain plug. The next two are in the front of the vehicle, near the radiator. The fourth bolt is at the front of the driver's side wheel well. We will then remove the cover from the lip it rests on at the front of the vehicle. The fifth and sixth bolts are located in the wheel well. We will remove these and allow the cover to lower. The last thing holding this cover is the rivet screw, which can be popped off with a flathead screwdriver or your hand. Remove the cover, minding the brake lines. We now have access to our leaking return line. Place oil catch pans under the leak to control the liquid. First, use a pair of pliers to squeeze and move this hose clamp from the rubber hose to the metal portion of the return line. Now we are going to loosen this nut holding the flange in place. It is best to use a 17mm flare wrench for this job, but I like doing things the hard way, and a standard wrench will work. Be sure not to hit or use the brake lines as a fulcrum. After the nut has been loosened, you will be able to push on the line and see that it is now free. We will need to use a T40 Torx star bit to loosen this bolt securing the line to the transmission pump. Use copious amounts of penetrating oil and give it time to do its work. A little light tapping will also help. Just be careful not to cause any damage to the CD4E transmission pump, as these are known for cracking and leaking, and that's another video for another day. Save this bolt for reuse. Now lift up the return line and move it towards the passenger compartment and then lower it, minding the draining fluid. There won't be a significant amount of fluid that drains, just what is present in the lines. While that's draining, let's take advantage of this wait time and clean up the area around the bolt we just removed with a wire brush and a towel, and then begin installing our replacement transmission cooler return line. Hand tighten the screw nut at the flange connection as far as you can, and then use a 17mm wrench to finish tightening. Do not over tighten. I believe this requires 30 pounds of torque. When the screw nut stops turning, so should you. Let's apply anti-seize to the bolt that attaches to the transmission pump to ease future removal and then install it, again making sure not to over tighten. Going back to the old cooler line that I tucked into the engine bay after draining, we can twist the old line while securely holding the rubber hose to break free the tight seal that is likely present at the slip fitting. Be sure not to damage the rubber hose. Make sure you save this clamp. We will need it to secure the return hose to the new return line. Now, we start the tedious process of removing the hose from the old line with small twists on the metal line and consistent pulling force, making sure not to pull too hard on the rubber return hose. Place the reclaimed hose clamp over the new cooler return line and with a clean hand, lubricate the slip fitting with new transmission fluid. Insert the return line into the return hose. Now slide the clamp onto the return hose, making sure that it sits at the midpoint between the end of the return line and this lip here. At this point, we can return the plastic protective cover. When reinserting the cover, be sure to mind the brake lines, placing the cover behind the lines. Insert the rivet screw first and continue holding the cover up while inserting the first two 10mm bolts to ensure we don't place unnecessary pressure on the brake lines. Tuck the protective cover into the lip at the front of the vehicle. Install the 4 remaining 10mm bolts as shown here and in the reverse order that we removed them. Use your own discretion on whether you perform a full transmission fluid change at this point. Regardless of a complete change, inspect the fluid level with the vehicle running for approximately 30 seconds and then add fluid and re-inspect, making sure not to overfill or underfill. We need the fluid level to be within this crosshatched area here. After adding fluid, slowly cycle the gears several times and then re-inspect the fluid level. Be sure to degrease the bottom of the vehicle to clean up the mess that the leak created and also to allow identification of future leaks. That's it. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you liked this video and please consider subscribing to see future videos.